All right, so if you want to get into your projects, you would log into Canvas, you would go into the module section, and you would navigate to where that information is held. In this case, I'm looking at the week 8, right? If I wanted to, for example, download COSA1 Word exam, I would click on that link, and it would take you as a student directly into the link. Here's a little bit of information, right? As a teacher, I have to click on this extra link, which you will not have to do. But what you'll see next is this screen here, right? This is the COSA1 Word exam. And on the left-hand side, it says number 1, download the files. Which files do you need? Well, you need, first of all, the starting file, right? That's your starting file. It's the required file for you to complete your exam. So you would click on that starting file, and it would download to the bottom left of your screen if you're using Chrome, right? But you also need a second file, which are your instructions, right? So the instructions, also required, are here, Office or Windows 2016, right? So we would click on that second link. So there's 2 links, one which was our starting file, one which was our instructions, right? So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to open up both of those links. I need both of those open because I'm going to be working with both of them. So I click on the first option here, which is indeed the Word file. And I know that I have to enable the editing. So I click on Enable Editing. Okay, now I did that, but I want you to remember that we also need the instructions. So I would go back to Chrome. So in the bottom here of your taskbar, you should see the Chrome option. So you would click on Chrome. And I had already downloaded the instructions, so they're right here. How do I know that these are the instructions? Because those tend to be in PDF format. So I would open those up as well, and those are the instructions, right? But it's kind of hard for me to look at my instructions and have to switch back and forth between the windows. So what I'd like to do is to make those 2 things side by side. So what I'll do is, with one of these windows open, right, I will hold down my Windows key literally on the keyboard, right, on the bottom left here, the Windows key, and then I'll click on an arrow. And it allows me to, at that point, choose which one of these options I want to make my second window. Right? In this case, I'm going to go ahead and move this over a little bit here. It didn't have it quite open, which is why it did this weird thing here. But it allows me to look at my instructions, for example, on the left and my Word document on the right. Now, you could do it the opposite way. You could do your start file on the left and the instructions on the right. Doesn't really matter, whatever you feel comfortable with. But again, what I did is, I'm going to go back into Chrome here. I'm going to go into my COSA1 window so that I can show you what I did is I went into the actual file, which brought me into here, right? And you need the starting file, and you also need the instructions. You're downloading both of those. If you have access to a printer, I would print out the instructions so that I have those written out and I can cross them out once I'm done with them, right? We had talked about that being a good method. But again, you need both the starting file and the instructions. Once you have that, let's go back to this, right? Once we have that, we can, let's go back to this, we can compare our instructions here. So it tells me, now I do want you to notice before I do that, because I've reduced these to half of my screen, some of these little tabs, right, they look like they're squished, and they are indeed squished. All the things are still there, right? We're just having to click on the drop-down menu to see more of those options, but they're there. You would read the instructions in this project. You will format a document. You will select and format text. What am I reading? I'm reading what I'm going to be doing here. And then I've got the step-by-step points that I'll be, skills that I'll be performing. And then it says number 1, right? So step number 1. You've got a little arrow here that tells you to start here. The arrow says open the start file. We did that already. The file will be renamed automatically, right? So you would check to make sure that your file has your name on it. And then it says number 3. So you're actually starting work with number 3. Select antisocial personality disorder on the first line of the document and apply the title style to the document. Okay, so here's my document. I'm going to click on that to make it a little bit bigger, right? It tells me to select antisocial personality disorder. There it is, right? I can use my mouse or I can triple click, right? So then it says to, in the instructions here, it tells me to, let me make this a little bit smaller so that I can see more of my document here. It tells me to apply the title style to the text. Now, where were styles, right? So you would have to remember that if I'm applying the title style to the text here, this is what we're talking about here, title style to the text, number 3. Well, that's styles. It gave me that clue here, title style to the text. So I'd go over to styles and I'd have to look for my title styles, right? Do you see title here? Where am I looking? At the bottom here, right? I've got heading 2, heading 1, no spacing, so forth and so on. And notice that right here it says title. So I would click on that and it would give me the title style for the document. All right, done with that, I would move on to the next step, select introduction on the second line of the document and apply heading 1 style, right? So now it's talking about this introduction here. So you'd have to remember how to apply that style, in this case the heading 1 style, to introduction and so forth and so on. Now in number 5, you're applying that same heading 1 style to each of the main headings in the documents, right? So which ones are the headings? Well, those are the ones that are on their own line, right? So the next one is psychopathy and sociopathy, right? So here is the next one, and so forth and so on. So again, the main idea here is that you are downloading both the starting file and the instruction file. I used the Windows key and then arrow to split my screens. You could also use the snap to do that, but I think using the Windows key and the arrow is easier because it allows you to select which window you want to split screen with. Now the caveat to that is you have to actually open both files, right, so that both files are available for you to split your screen. But if you have the option to print out your instructions, I would say print out the instructions so it's just easier to follow and you to mark off which ones of these instructions on the left-hand side you've completed. All right, I hope that helps.